Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you on Tuesday. I'm sure plenty of you are still basking in the glory of the North London derby win at the weekend, but we are starting to move on now and look ahead to the Europa League. That is when Arsenal are next in action on Thursday night against Bodo Glimt at the Emirates. Obviously Arsenal only having played one game so far in the Europa League because that PSV match was cancelled due to the events after the Queen's death, and so Arsenal lagging behind a little bit in that competition, but with one win from one, and this will be a good opportunity now to really take a firm grip on the group. Expecting plenty of changes as always, as we saw against Zurich in the first game, and Mikel's definitely got the Liverpool game to look ahead to on Sunday, so there's going to be big changes for that one. So I'll look ahead to that match and who might be the players we see on the field on Thursday night. Also a little bit on Cedric and his injury, and also I wanted to speak about Granit Xhaka in this video. He got named Player of the Month yesterday, and he deserves a little bit of praise. Not that he's not getting any at the moment, because he's getting plenty, but I do feel I just want to have a little quick chat about Granit Xhaka as well in this video. We'll start with the game on Thursday night though. I'm looking forward to this one. I do like the Europa League, I have to say. As much as you obviously want to be in the Champions League, no doubt about it, the Europa League is actually quite fun, because you get to see a lot of the players who you don't often see, get to see players given opportunities, and certainly at this stage of the competition anyway, in the group stages, once it gets through to the second half of the season and it becomes a lot more serious, then you'll see Mikel going pretty strong, I'd imagine. But I think we're certainly going to see lots of changes again. Looking forward to seeing the likes of Vieira start. I think it'll be Vieira's first start at the Emirates. It will be, won't it? Marquinhos as well, it'll be his first start at the Emirates, so looking forward to him. Could well be seeing the return of Reiss Nelson. It's been a long time since we've seen Reiss playing in an Arsenal shirt, so there's lots to look forward to about that game on Thursday night. And Bodo are no mugs. They can't be totally disrespected by any means. I mean, they've had some good results in the last year or so in Europe. I think they turned Mourinho's Roma over, didn't they, last season? A couple of times, I think. So yeah, they're not to be disrespected. They had a decent result so far in the competition in the group stages as well. So Arsenal won't be just going there expecting to win comfortably on Thursday night at the Emirates. They're going to have to work pretty hard and make sure they get the job done. But we're going to see plenty of changes. I mean, it's pretty clear. You look at who's going to, there'll be Matt Turner will start in goal. It's almost like who will play from the first team, because you kind of look at the numbers of the squad and you think you can't quite make 11 changes at the moment because of a couple of injuries, because El Nenny's not there, because Smith Rowe's not there. You can't quite make full 11 changes. So one, maybe two of the current sort of starting 11 in the Premier League might well have to play, or will have to play, unless Mikel does really sort of dip into the under-21s and bring a couple of those on, which I'm not sure he will. There'll certainly be some on the bench. I'm not sure we'll see them starting though. So, and you kind of look at the options. Obviously, Turner in goal, you'd imagine. I think a lot's going to revolve around Cedric and whether he's fit. If Cedric's fit, maybe he will play right back, and then that will allow you not to have to play one of the centre-backs, which potentially would probably be Gabriel, because you look in the Zurich game, it was Gabriel and Holden who started that match. If Cedric plays, then maybe Cedric can be right back, and then you can have a centre-back partnership of Holding on the right and Tomiyasu as a left-sided centre-back, and then obviously Tierney at left-back. And then you get to the other one senior player who might well play, and that's probably going to be Granit Xhaka, you would think, because Sambi will probably play the holding role. He'll come in for Thomas Partey. Fabio Vieira will certainly play in the Odegaard role. It's then who just plays in that Granit role. There's not really any other option at the moment, because there's no El Neni, because there's no Smith Rowe. You think it's probably going to have to be Granit. He'll have to start again and have a midfield of Sambi, Vieira and Xhaka. And then the front three, I would imagine, certainly Martinelli and Saka will get the night off, and it will be Marquinhos on the right. Eddie Nketiah will be the central striker instead of Jesus, obviously, and then probably Reiss Nelson on the left. I think Reiss would rather play on the right, but I think we'll probably see Reiss Nelson play on the left-hand side. So you're kind of looking at that's... I'd be surprised if the starting lineup was very different to that one. It's just those two key areas in terms of who fills in at centre-back. Do you play Gabriel at centre-back alongside Rob Holding like you did against Zurich? Or is there a way of maybe putting Tomiyasu in there, and that will revolve around Cedric's fitness. But I think midfield, that's a big struggle. Unless you bring in someone like a Matt Smith, who I just can't see. I know he's been in and around it recently, but I just can't see that Matt Smith's going to start a game. So I think you're probably going to have to go with Granit, maybe give him 60 minutes and then change things up a little bit. I think Granit started in the Zurich game, didn't he? He did, I'm sure he did. And I mean, Granit, touch wood, I don't want to jinx him, I probably will now, but he very rarely gets injured. So Mikel will be kind of looking at his fitness levels and his durability levels and thinking we can probably get away with playing Granit for 60 minutes and he'll still be fine for Liverpool on Sunday. You just got to cross your fingers and that is the case. But I think that's the kind of lineup you would expect. Let me know what you guys think about that. Do you think I'm pretty much right in about who will play, and who do you think Mikel maybe should risk if he does have to risk a couple of the Premier League starters? Who do you reckon it should be? Should it be Granit? Should it be Gabriel? Or do you think someone else should have a go? Let me know what you guys think, always in the comments below. Okay, I mentioned there that a lot's going to revolve around Cedric, and there is good news on Cedric from that front and the injuries. He is now ready to return to training. From what I understand, today is planned, and it's Tuesday. If you're watching this later on in the week, today is Tuesday, is scheduled to be his first sort of full training session after the injury. Now, he got the injury just before the Zurich game. It was only supposed to keep him out for 1, maybe 2 weeks, and he got a bit of a setback on that and was out again for an extra week or so. But he is now recovered, and today is due to be his first 100% full training session. That would give him 2 training sessions ahead of the match. I think train on Tuesday, train on Wednesday, and then the match on Thursday. Whether that is enough to start him, obviously Mikel and the medical staff will decide that. You would think probably not. Is 2 training sessions when you've been out for 3 weeks enough to go straight into a match? I would think no, but that's just me using my completely non-medical brain to say that. Maybe the sports science guys, the medical team will think differently and think that is enough because he had such a good basic level of fitness anyway before he had his layoff. But I mean, if he does play, if he is past fit, then that does solve a little bit of an issue, like I said, for Arteta, because you can just play him at right back, and then you have the centre backs. You move Tomiyasu over there, and play him next to Rob Holding as the left-sided centre-back. We've seen Tomiyasu has kind of been warming up. When Gabriel had an injury issue or looked like he might have to come off, it was Tomiyasu who was warming up, and that tells you that Mikel Arteta thinks that Tomiyasu can play that role. I mean, he's very good in the air. He's very good with his left foot. We know he can play that role. He can play all across the back line. So he does tick a lot of the boxes when it comes to that. So we'll wait and see what happens with Cedric. But it is good news, and Arsenal need everyone fit and available, especially as the games are becoming thick and fast now. And Cedric provides real good cover on the right hand side. And so it'll be good news for him if he is available. Elsewhere, the injury news, I mean, there's not too much. You got the long-term injuries, which we know about, Mohamed El-Neni and Emil Smith-Rowe, who are both at the game on Saturday, the Tottenham game, both looking very happy, but obviously both out for long-term. So those two are out of it. But other than that, at the moment, again, fingers crossed, it's looking pretty good. Now, I was down in the mix zone after the game on Saturday when we wait to talk to the players, and they all sort of file past stuff out of the changing room and go off to the players' lounge or to the team coach or to their cars and go home. And only a couple of them sort of stopped to talk to us, but the rest of them walked past us. And we saw Zinchenko walk past. And I say walk, he was struggling to walk. And I'm not saying that was an injury or anything. It might have just been that he was really cramping up. And he had both his legs sort of covered in, I don't even know what they were. They were almost these sort of tights, basically, that I'm pretty sure was to keep the muscles protected, keep them warm or something like that. But he was very much struggling to walk. He was not moving well. And I don't think he was injured. He didn't look injured when he came off because he was substituted in the second half, and he came off fine and he sat on the bench. But it looked like maybe he cramped up a little bit after the game, or I mean, he hadn't played for a while, so it's no surprise if he was struggling a little bit after the match. But yeah, he was walking very, very gingerly. So I think it should still be fine for Liverpool. Like I said, I don't think it was necessarily an actual injury. It was just more he was struggling after his first game for a while. But I can't imagine Zinchenko is going to be sort of considered for the match on Thursday anyway. He might well be on the bench like some of the other senior players, but he's not going to be starting. I think all focus for him and the others are going to be just protect yourselves, get ready for Liverpool on Sunday, which is going to be such a demanding game. But else, other than that, it's very good news for Arsenal. You know, Thomas Partey came back, was fine. Odegaard was fine. Like I said, Zinchenko came back and played, even if he did suffer a bit of cramp or whatever it was at the end of the game. Tierney's fine. He's back on the bench. So injury-wise, Arsenal are in good shape, aside for those two long-term ones. And if Cedric does get through this week, or certainly today and tomorrow's training session fine, and will definitely be in contention for Thursday night. Whether it's to start remains to be seen. But again, that's just another good bit of news on the injury front for Arsenal as the games start to come thick and fast. Okay, lastly, in today's video, before we get to sort of really start focusing tomorrow on the Bodo game, Granit Xhaka, I've got to talk about Granit. Fair play to him. Player of the month. I think it's only the second time he's got that, and I think the other time was the end of last season. You think he's been here a long, long time. His redemption is it's such a brilliant story. It's such a good story. And he deserves all the credit he's getting at the moment, Granit, because it's been really difficult. Look, we've all hammered him at times during his time at Arsenal. What happened with the Crystal Palace game 3 years ago, no one who was in that stadium at that point, or even sort of saw the aftermath of it, and certainly behind the scenes like we did, ever gave him a chance of kind of rebuilding that relationship with the fans and rebuilding his career basically at Arsenal. Like he's admitted himself, he had his bags packed after that. He thought he was gone. He virtually was gone. Didn't just have one foot out the door, he virtually had his entire body out the door. And then Mikel convinced him to stay, and slowly they've been rebuilding everything in terms of bringing him back first into the team, then occasionally he's had the armband, now he's part of the leadership group, and he's absolutely starring on the pitch, and he's producing performances of just a level that we haven't really seen from him in Arsenal before, in this new role that he's revelling in. He's scoring goals, he's setting up goals, and it's just a brilliant story of someone who just refuses to give up. 'Cause Granit Xhaka could have thrown the towel in at Arsenal so many times and gone and walked away and thought, you know what, I'm not sticking around for this, there's no point. Because as much as he has had a lot of criticism before, and he's not, you know, and he's deserved a lot of it because he's just done stupid things on the pitch time and time again and not seem to have learned from them. So he deserves a lot of the criticism, the fair criticism, not the abuse that he suffered. I mean, that's just been awful, and like seriously the worst abuse you can suffer. That's what Granit Xhaka has suffered by the idiots on social media. But to sort of stick that all out, it just says so much about his character. And, you know, Granit, for, like I said, for whatever faults he's got and the poor decisions he's made in the past on the pitch, one thing you can never criticise Xhaka for is his mentality and his character and his determination to prove people wrong and come back from scenarios and positions where people have basically totally written him off. And he's just done it time and time again. And, you know, there is no stronger personality or character in that Arsenal squad than Granit Xhaka. And he's proven that by the way he's bounced back from all the disappointments and the positions he's been in the past. But what he's doing now on the pitch, I think, even for the staunchest Granit supporters, and there has been plenty of them, no doubt about it, while he has been criticised, there's still plenty of always loved Granit Xhaka. He's been that polarising character and opinion. And the way he's come back is just deserves so much credit. It really does. And the performances he's putting in, you know, I'd written him off, to be honest, towards the end of last season. I remember when he got his new contract, I just thought, why have they done that? You know, and I was thinking more, not so much about the player himself, but just about it was all about protecting value. And I just thought, there's no real added value for that contract because of his age and stuff. And I hold my hands up. It's proven to be a fantastic decision keeping him and having him stick around. And he's only just turned 30. It seems he certainly still seems to have a few years left at the top level. And he's watching what he's doing at the moment. It's just a fantastic story. And I think everyone is beginning to appreciate it. And you can just hear the crowd after the game singing his songs at the Emirates. You know what it means. You saw the video he put out yesterday that Arsenal put out when he was announced Player of the Month. And you can just hear the emotion in his voice. And when we've done interviews with Granit in the last few months, there's been two of them in particular, one ahead of the launch of Amazon All or Nothing and one in the mix zone the other day after, I can't remember what game it was. And you listen to him talk and the way he answers the questions about where he is right now at Arsenal, and you can just tell how emotional it is for him and how happy he is to have proven a lot of people wrong and to be now just to kind of have that relationship that he's never had with the Arsenal fans. All players want a good relationship with the fans. So for Granit, it must have been really, really difficult the whole time. And to actually now finally, after all this time, to be liked and appreciated you know, it's a nice thing to see, and I think he deserves an awful lot of credit. And you know, I'm sure lots of people, including myself, have to hold your hands up and say, you know what, certainly that decision to give him a new contract and to back him and to keep him now looks like a very good piece of business by Arsenal. So fair play to Arsenal and fair play to Granit Xhaka. Long may his good performances continue. All right, that's it from me, everyone. Thank you very much for your time today. Appreciate it. As always, anything you agree with, disagree with, please do hit me up in the comments below. Have a fantastic day, everyone. I'll speak to you soon.